time, and this is the part where we get all in Shacola's business, honey. She has to tell us how
Yes.
about her
Come with
boutique.
it. Come with it.
And so we had an opportunity. So we kind of like we realized that we kind of knew you through a few degrees of separation
Mhm.
from folks from high school, etc. But we got a chance to get to know you a little bit better at um, the vision board
Yeah, that we hosted.
that we hosted. Yes, and
Thanks for the
everybody.
invite.
Yes.
Absolutely. And everybody kind of went around the room and, kind of shared a little bit of their testimony. And I was just so, I don't know what I thought you were going to say. Maybe I didn't think anything. I don't think I had any expectations. But I think we both were kind of blown away by what
Mhm.
you said in such a short amount of time. So we were like, oh, we need to dig in to
Yes.
this, honey. So you are invited.
Yes. To sit at the brunch with Bessie's table. Okay.
Right, because we need to do some. Our we what we try to do is help facilitate a space for women to heal.
Yeah.
And so obviously you have been through a lot of different things, and I thought that your story and Chanel thought that your story would be appropriate
Mhm.
here in this space. So let's start with just giving some folks some background, your name, how old you are, if you have any children, just some general statistics.
So, my name is Shacolia Gillespie. I am 30 something years old.
There you
Hello.
go.
30 something. I'll be 35 on July 9th, if you get the hint.
Okay.
um, and I
Let's go
have,
Cancer.
huh?
I said, let's go Cancer.
Yes, Cancer, baby.
Listen,
Yes.
I do it.
I have a daughter who is 11 years old. And yeah, what else?
What do you do for a living?
So right now I am a care coordinator through GOE. And through the state of Wisconsin, I'm a CHW worker, but also I just graduated in January with my degree. I am a special, well, really not special ed, but mental health and substance abuse therapist.
That is
And right now
good.
I am at two different facilities working as a therapist. And I am a serial entrepreneur. I have four different businesses of my own that I run solely on me. So, yeah.
That is awesome.
Listen.
So the first question is, what made you want to get into specifically addiction
Mhm.
and substance abuse?
So I wanted to do that for a while. My biological mother was a drug addict for some time, primarily through probably all of from elementary to high school. And just seeing her change and go, by being raised by my grandmother because of her addictions, and then seeing how she is today, how she was able to change and transform into such a wonderful person, by going through different programs and things like that. It just always kind of intrigued me, like, to want to get into it because, you always think, like, how do you go from this to this?
Mhm.
And so that was like really where it came from as a passion, just because um my biological mother was a substance abuse user. And from, like I said, from elementary school probably throughout high school. And she's been clean for forever now, but just going through the different programs and therapy and different sessions, with her, and seeing the how she evolved and how much it helped. I always knew my passion was helping.
Mhm.
So it just drawed me to that. My original undergrad is in special education and a double major in communication. So it just, I already dealt with certain things with, like, therapy and things like that through the school system, but it really made me want to dig deeper into, like, substance abuse and mental health and cognitive thinking and things like that. So I was like, if I'm going to go back to school, let me go back to school and do something that I've been thinking about for so long, but just never thought that I would do it because I really didn't want to go back to school.
Hello. Look.
Listen.
But so yeah, that's what really made me go to substance abuse, and then mental health, just because um I think in the African American world we downplay mental health so much. I think it's easier for us to connect with our own color versus having a lot of white therapists, or just other races. So I'm like, you know what, let me do both, because obviously substance abuse and mental health is hand in hand. If you're
Mhm.
addicted to something, you're not technically thinking on your own.
Mm. Mm.
Hmm.
And
That's
so
deep.
it was just one of those things. I was like, you know what? If I'm gonna do one, I'm gonna do both. And so, yeah, it took me some time to do it, but it was one of those things that I was really interested in. I really wanted to learn the brain. Like I really wanted to know, what make people do it, because at the end of the day, like that was a question that I always had from my mom. Like, you had 3 girls, you had 3 children, like, but yet something else was controlling you not to be able to be there. So for me, it was just like I was able to actually hand in hand see the process, from her going to a drug addict to her being clean to her being a phenomenal grandmother. She might not have been the best mother that I needed her to be, but hands down the best grandmother any grandkid can ask for. I get a little jealous, like, hold on, I ain't get this.
Mhm.
Wait a minute, ma'am.
Wow.
But it's eye opening, because the help is there. We just don't take advantage of the help. But I do also think, once again, it goes back to, we don't like to talk to other races. We don't want people to think other things about us. So when I thought about doing it, I'm like, you know what? This would help us, as
Yeah.
a
Right.
whole.
Yeah, because it had me thinking, like, how many Black people have the position that you have? Like, I've never heard of that position. Like, is it a large profession?
So, I mean, yeah, mental health there. There's a lot of mental health treatment centers and counselors and therapists, but there's not a lot of us skin color.
Right, right.
But what
So,
about the folks
when
who
you
are?
when what really when I was looking for a therapist, out of like the 7 or I think it was either 7 or 6. I had one Black option.
Mm.
Mm,
So I was like, yeah, no, this ain't right. And I mean, don't get me wrong. I tell people all the time, now that I've got into the field, finding the right therapist is like trying on the right shoe. It just might not fit.
Mhm.
Sometimes I'm a 7.5, sometimes I'm 8. Um, you have to go what works for you. It's not, and I try to tell people all the time, I know we have this thing in our head like, oh, I want a Black therapist because I'm Black. Yeah, and I get it. And going through school to be a therapist and everything, we go through this whole, we do a training for cultural,
Mm.
because I don't know everything about white people. I don't know everything about Asian people. I don't know everything about Black people. I mean, I'm Black and Hispanic, so you have to. It's a learning curve as you go. And I tell people all the time, yeah, you might say I want a Black therapist. I want a Black therapist. But just because you're Black does not, just because I'm Black, I might not be the perfect fit for you. So
mhm.
we can go through trial and error and see if this works. But if not, let me recommend you to somebody who I think might be a better fit to you. And she might not be Black. He might not be Black. But it is a lot out there that we can offer to our own kind, because once again, everybody don't understand us. So what we might give off to somebody else as attitude, to us it could just be demeanor. It could just be, the way you carry yourself. I don't necessarily have attitude, but to another culture they could be like, oh, you got attitude. You know what I'm saying? So
Mhm.
it just all just really depend. But for me, it was one of those things where, when it was my turn, when I needed a therapist, I didn't see us. So I'm like, okay, it needs to be a little bit more of us out there that can help us if we can.
Right, for
Absolutely.
sure.
And how awesome is it that you chose to go back and study the process? My dad was addicted to drugs for most of my life, and you're absolutely right. Him on drugs and him off drugs are two completely
Mhm.
different people, and that's one of the things that my mom always wanted me to know. Was she was just like, when I met your dad, he wasn't on drugs, and he was the best person ever,
Mhm.
and he is a phenomenal grandfather, like you said, like hands down,
Mm.
grandfather of the year, because the kid, somebody's kid, is always at his house.
Right.
So,
Aw.
you know, but no, I think that that's amazing. I was wondering, do you feel like it helped you to, well, you did say that, you've got to watch her kind of shift and grow, but do you think that it allows you to kind of like accept her
Oh,
more?
for sure. When I went through school and I did my intern and extern, we actually had to do our intake on a patient. And I'm like, well, I don't want to seem like I'm offending her, but what better person to do it on? So when I did it on my mom, it brought up a lot of uncomfortable. It was an uncomfortable conversation that we had to have with each other, because I never really knew. I didn't really ask too many questions, because I just felt like, at one point I didn't like you because you wasn't there. And then at the second half, I'm like, okay, I went through this process with you because I want you to be better. And I know that God had something greater for you. So it was a lot of, things that was brushed under the rug. So when I actually had to do an intake on her and I found out some things that I didn't know, it gave me clarity and understanding. And it took some of the wounds away that I had, like open wounds that I had with her, like questioning her as a child and questioning her as an adult is two different things, but understanding and getting clarity of the situation, not really realizing it's a sickness is not something that she could have controlled. In your head you think like, why are you doing this,
Mhm.
what would make you do this? But once you understand it and realize that it is a sickness, just like they have to find a cure for cancer, they have to find a cure for AIDS, they have to find a cure for addiction as well, and it does
Amen.
not it doesn't happen overnight, and sometimes it doesn't happen within years. My mom used practically, like I said, from what I can remember, early elementary all the way through my high school years. And when she got clean, I'm just like, man, like I could have really used you. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Like
Mhm.
she's just a awesome person. And I remember in class when we did our intake, so I did the whole process with her, and it wasn't easy. I would tell you that, like, it wasn't easy process because I had to learn a lot of things that I just never asked, but the question to me was, um, are you like your mother? And I was like, hell no.
Mhm.
I ain't nothing like that lady. Like, I ain't never did this. I ain't never did that. And so when I went back and did the intake and everything, and when you do an intake, it's like you kind of dissecting a person from then to where they are now. And then I had to come back and I had to apologize to my classes. I'm like, I'm everything like this woman. I'm a giver. I'm a lover.
Mhm.
I'm kind. I'm compassionate. But when you think about certain stuff, I was like, no, I don't. I'm nothing like her. I would never do drugs. I would never leave my kids. I would never
Mhm.
do this. But that's not who she is. You know what I'm
That
saying?
exactly.
That was the
That's who
So
addiction.
she is on
Yeah.
drugs.
Yep.
right,
That's the
Yeah.
and that
addiction, the
was that was
sickness.
the sickness.
Yeah.
That was the disease that she was fighting, but that's not who she was.
Mhm.
So it just brought, like, literally that process, like, it was real personal for me.
Yeah.
And I feel like it brought us so much closer because, yeah, she's in my life, she's been in my life and everything like that, but it was still a lot of things that was unanswered for me. So I still held some type of grudge, because and sometimes I'd be like, dude, this your grandchild, I'm your daughter, remember that. You know what I'm saying? Like, but
Mhm.
then I have to be grateful for the moments that they share. I wasn't able to get all of those moments, but by far, like, I had a hands down, like, amazing childhood. I didn't go
Mhm.
without, like, my grandmother raised me and my siblings. So, like, we still had that love. I didn't feel empty, or mistreated, because I was still under my grandmother's wing. But it was still an empty void because I knew that my grandmother wasn't my mother.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was really eye opening for me. I really, it was really personal, and it was things that I didn't want to touch on purpose. So I never asked. But then when I went through school and went through the process and had to do my internship and my externship and things like that, and you had to actually find a person, like, we could have went to, like, I did my internship at the mental health complex. So I could have easily got a patient from there. I could have easily got a patient from the methadone clinic. But I'm like, what better person to do it on? Like, like, this is gonna be amazing for me because there was a lot of things that I was just leaving on the table that I was
Yep.
scared to talk about or I didn't want to know, because it was still those little girl wounds, that I just wanted to leave and I didn't want to bring them back up. But now it brought a lot of closure for us, and I would honestly say we're closer. We've always had a pretty good relationship. Like, out of all of my siblings, I probably the one that accepted her, even going into my adult years, more than them. They still have their own resentment and things like that. But now, knowing what I know now that I didn't know then, is just like, I could have really missed out on a lot of opportunities of really getting to know her if I wouldn't have never went through the process. I
Yeah.
would have never asked those questions. I would have never wanted to know, when you first started, what happened, how, why, when, like,
Yes.
Yeah.
and it was just an eye opener. It was a blessing in disguise. So it was just one of those things, and that really stuck out to me in school when they was like, with the person that you did your intake on, they asked you, you know, are you anything like this person? And I was like, absolutely not. Y'all got me messed up.
You said
Like,
it quick, like, nah,
Heck no.
and
that
then
ain't
I
me.
thought about it and I'm like, well, that's not the drugs is not
Mhm.
who she is,
Exactly.
Ooh,
Yeah.
And
yeah.
I had to come back and it was so funny. I told my professor, I was like, I know we're like off this and this was like last week, but you asked us a question in group and I very much so got offended by you asking me
Mm,
that question. And I just need to stand firm on what I believe. I'm everything like my mother. I'll give the shirt off my back because my mom will.
Yes.
I'm gonna feed 100 people with 10 pieces of chicken. Like, it's just, she's just that person. Like, have you can never go without anything and she's around. She's just a loving person. She's a kind person. She's just, she's everything I am. And I had to make sure that I let them know, like, whoa, 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 because I was offended that you asked me that question, but now really knowing this person and getting deeper into the conversation with her and understanding certain things and understanding that it was a illness and not her, yeah, it opened my eyes to a lot of stuff. I
mhm.
think with a lot of stuff that we do or go through, if you don't really dig deep into it, you will always just see the outer surface of something. So
Oh
you're
yeah.
gonna always have like a different outlook on it versus digging deeper to really see, what the issue is.
Yeah, I
Mhm.
I agree. I remember the day that I chose to look up the word addiction, and it said beyond your control,
Yep.
and that
Yep.
changed everything for me. I was like, oh, so he's not even choosing
Yeah.
to do this. So he's not a liar, a thief, all these names, right? Like this is the drug. But you're absolutely right.
Mhm.
I too had to accept that I am
Yeah.
just like my dad.
Exactly. And I think
Yeah.
once you get that insight from them and you take off this like my parent on a pedestal, you kind of take that away and you look at them for who they are and what they've been through and them as just a man or just a woman. Then you
who
Mm-hmm.
really
who made a who
who
made a bad
who made a
choice,
bad
who changed the
choice.
trajectory of their life,
Absolutely.
but
Yeah.
thank God that they kept fighting to get clean.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm
They
very
didn't give
proud
up
of
on
both of
that.
them. Yeah, shout
Yeah.
out to your mom. That's amazing.
Yeah. Shout out to my queen because she held the fort down for me.
Yay.
I don't know where I'd be without her right
I
now.
love to
And I
hear
mean, that's
that.
enough to call you a miracle.
Listen, cause yeah,
That really
growing
is
up in
enough to call you
Milwaukee
a
like that,
miracle.
and thank God for your grandma who
Yes.
took care of you all. Because that's a lot to not
And
have
we
your
all know the
mom.
statistics on, people who have parents that are drugs and what path that can lead down for them and
Hmm.
their own kids. So, that's enough to call you a miracle. But I want you to tell us what you shared with us when we were at the event, when we were going around and we were like, wait, what?
Hold
I
up.
know, right? When I tell this story, everybody be like, "Wait, what you?" And I'm like, "Yeah." So back in 2000, so it really started in 2012. Well, no, 2010 when I was pregnant with my daughter. One morning I got up and I was just like, "I got to use the bathroom," and I got up to use the bathroom and I fell flat on my stomach. Like I fell, like I
Mhm.
couldn't walk. So I was home by myself, so I had to call 911. At the time, I lived in these like condos out by Mayfair. So they came, we went to the hospital. They thought it was just like numbness of the leg, like, pregnancy. Your body go through changes because of, pregnancy. So I was, got my feeling back in my legs and I went home. They just told me, put me on bed rest, get some rest, whatever. Like 2 weeks later, I went in for like a follow-up appointment and they ran all these tests and bam, you got kidney failure. And I'm, what?
Mhm.
Mm.
I'm like, whatever, I didn't really know what kidney failure was at the time. So at that moment, I probably was like 5 or maybe, yeah, it was June. So I had to be like 7 months, 6 months because I wasn't due to September. Long story short, I had to get a shot in my back every week because I
Mhm.
had kidney failure. And I went in for a regular checkup and it was like, yeah, we're going to go ahead and take the baby because
Mhm.
I was having complications. So I was due September 11th. I had my daughter July 30th.
Wow.
Oh.
Um, and so that was like the first instant. But after I had my baby, and shout out to my mama then because she lived out of state. And when I went and started getting like really sick. She flew in, stayed with me up until I had my baby, and then stayed like 3 months after I had my baby. Then she went back to Arizona. But so yeah, so after I had my daughter, it was kind of fun. I didn't really have like issues as much, but we were still doing follow up. So fast forward, I had my daughter in 2010. Fast forward to 2014, I started having really bad cramps and pains. So they were telling me it was my gallbladder. So, they were telling me, first they were telling me it was heartburn. I went through all these specialists because they were saying, well, the kidney numbers are looking fine, so we don't think it's her kidney now. They were saying it was heartburn, so then they started treating me for heartburn. Fast forward to 2015, I went to Fright Fest on a Wednesday with some of my girlfriends. I got to Fright Fest. I couldn't like, the pain was unbearable, so we ended up leaving. That night I came home, I told the father of my child, like, listen, this is what the number to my safe. This is what my will is. Like, I legitimately thought I was dying. Like, I couldn't. It the pain was so unbearable. Like, I couldn't even stand it. So he was just like, "You're over exaggerating. You're just gotta get some rest." So I laid down, and I just couldn't. Like, I felt like I was like, my whole body was on fire. Really, that's how I felt. So everybody was asleep. My daughter, my brother and his wife lived downstairs. I got in my car, drove to St. Joseph's. I made it to, like, if you know where the emergency room, St. Joseph's, I made it in the door and I collapsed.
Oh, wow.
And when I woke up, I just remember being like connected to all of these tubes and everything.
Oh my God.
And yeah, so that at that particular moment, they like, do you have anybody you can call? So I called my best friend Toya, and she came out to the hospital with me. And then they were like, we're gonna do an emergency surgery on you at 6 o'clock in the morning. And so this was probably like 8 o'clock at night. I called my mom. Kudos to my mom. She was on a flight at 6 o'clock that morning in Milwaukee.
Oh,
Like, so they
shout out
did
to
emergency
mama.
surgery. They had to open me up. So they did emergency surgery, and they realized, like, oh, okay, like, her kidneys and liver is in flames.
So this was like an exploratory surgery. They didn't even know what they were
Right.
They
doing.
didn't really know what they were going into, but they knew it was toxics in my body. And when they did the CAT scan, they did a CAT scan and like ultrasound, it was like blurry, so they couldn't tell exactly what it was. So they had to cut me open. So in this point, they took my gallbladder out because my gallbladder was something going on with my gallbladder was dead basically. So that had some toxics through my body. But in the midst of all of this, they're like, well, we can't close her up because her kidneys are gone. Like, her kidneys are not working. And I didn't realize that I hadn't had a bowel movement in like 4 or 5 days at this particular moment. So when they're asking me all this stuff, I'm like, yeah, I can't remember it. Long story short, we went in for surgery. So the first kidney surgery, they was like, well, we're going to try to remove some of the toxins out. So they did like a flush in my body. That didn't work. Then once they realized that, my body started turning yellow. So I started going into, my body started going into shock because now my kidneys are shutting down and my liver was shutting down. And then basically they took out half of my kidney and told my mom and them, like, this should work, blah, X, Y, and Z.
It should work. What?
This should work. But once again, they weren't sure because my body has so many toxics. Like, my eyes had started turning yellow. My body was going septic. And so we did this. So they did the first surgery and they was like, oh, everything looks good, blah, blah, blah. We're going to come check on her. And the next day, they ran more tests. I did not wake up one day from after the next day after the surgery. I didn't wake up. So I was just kind of like, I don't know what they call it, a medical coma or something like that. And then they gave me some medication to like kind of make my body start going, but everything was like rejecting. It was just rejected. My body was rejecting everything at this point. And they said it was because it was so much toxic in my body and I hadn't had a bowel movement. So what they did was they call it a scoop. So they had to go in through a tube to basically clean my system out.
Mm.
And once they did that, they realized, yo, her kidneys are damaged from the first surgery.
Mm.
Mm.
So the surgeon that did the first surgery, and he came in, he talked to my parents. He basically told them, like, I've done this surgery 1,010,000 times, and I've never, and like it's never failed me. I don't know what happened. I apologize. Like, he just was like, he was in tears, and he refused to do the surgery on me again. And that was like the only person
Mm.
that could do it. So they were trying to figure out what they were going to do, how they were going to do it. In the meantime, obviously now, like, my body rejected the first surgery, and that next morning they ran more tests, and my body was kind of like cold, like it just
Mm.
wasn't, nothing was working. And so I was sleeping. I remember it like it was yesterday. Like, it had to be at least 12 to 15 doctors walk in.
Mm.
And they basically told my parents, like, listen, we've done all that we can do for your child. I'm sorry, y'all, because I'm kind of getting an emotional thing talking about it.
It's we can
They,
emotional
Listen.
listening.
they just told my parents basically, like, this is all, we've done everything that we can do at this particular moment. Her body is rejecting everything. There is nothing that we can do more.
Mm.
Unless we have another surgeon that can come in and perform the surgery. And so that night, like, I don't know about y'all, but I have a praying grandmother. I come from a praying family. We're very religious. We believe in God. We pray, we prayed. And a surgeon, I believe he was from Indiana, if I'm not mistaken. So they were like in cahoots with him. Like, they kept coming in, telling my parents, well, like, he said do this and do that, and we're gonna see if this person. Long story short, they basically told my mom, like, probably call her family if she got kids, let them come spend time with her,
Oh my
because
god.
she's not gonna make it. She's not, if she doesn't have this surgery, if we can't, do this kidney replacement and do kidney surgery on her again, she's not going to she's not gonna make it. She's maybe 10 days at the most, because mind you, I haven't had a bowel movement. So all of that stuff was in me.
Mm.
And so that night, they got a phone call saying, I guess the surgeon, to be honest, I really don't know. I guess the guy from Indiana kind of got frustrated. Like, I can't work over the phone. I can't work through a computer. I can't tell y'all how to do this. Like, I have to come and do it.
Mhm.
And he flew in that next night. They, my parents had to sign like all of this paperwork, because my kidneys were the kidney that I had left was inflamed. So if anything would have went wrong with that, it would automatically,
Mm.
basically, I would have died on the table.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So it was like a 16-hour process
Oh my
Wow.
surgery
gosh.
that they did. And he the first time he came and did it, he told us, "Oh no, we can't do it. Her
Wait
insides
a
are
minute. Hold on.
The new surgeon.
The new
He
surgeon, he
flew
came
in.
down. He said, "No, we can't do it because her insides are too swollen. We can't even
Oh my
see
god.
what we need to see, not even through microscopic or whatever it was called." So that was that. So now we're back at square one, because he's here. We're gonna get the surgery done. And yeah, so the next morning he said that he asked my auntie, he said, I don't mean to be in your business, I don't know your religion, he said, but I do believe in prayer. And he said, I want to say a prayer with your family. He
Oh.
said, because I believe in miracles and I believe in second chances.
Mm.
This was a doctor. Now mind you, they're not supposed to get like religious
They
and stuff.
Mhm.
not. So
He
yeah.
said, but if you don't mind, I would like to, I believe in miracles. I believe, we can get this done. And we prayed, and my grandmother stayed on the phone and prayed all day, like in and out. Like, So that night he said, I'm gonna take her back down, and he took me down. He came back upstairs, told my family. Now my parents didn't even know that I was about to get the surgery again, because they were just so excited that my swelling had went down, and they don't even know how, but obviously it was because of God. The swelling went down, but they had to do the surgery like right then and there.
Mm.
So the surgery got done, and it was a success. It was just like a long roller coaster. I believe I was in hospital for like 27 days.
Oh my
Wow.
God.
Um, and when I came home, like I had to learn how to use the bathroom all over again.
Mm.
Um, it was just a lot. I had to learn how to walk over again. So I came home and I had my mom they had to like come put a hospital bed in my house, because like everything, like what, even when I came home, like I was still on like a lot of restrictions. I couldn't lift anything, I couldn't walk, I couldn't do nothing. And then that was like October. I went in the hospital like the second week of October. I came home like right before Thanksgiving.
Yeah, and mind you, you have a little baby.
So that was the thing too. Like I had my daughter. Um, she like didn't know what was going on. So like even through all of this, like she would cry leaving the hospital. So then
Mm.
that would put me at high stress. So then they had to stop my baby from coming out, because then I was having like
No.
panic attacks because she was leaving. I
Mm.
wasn't used to being gone from her. It was just like a crazy experience. But through that experience, what I will say, it was like, obviously like every day people don't have that, where somebody basically telling you, hey, unfortunately there's nothing else that we can do for you, you're gonna die.
Right.
Right.
And that's basically what they told my parents. Like they just was like, you might want to call the family in, spend as much time with her as you can, um because there's no way that we could perform the surgery again,
It's
and her
just
body is already full of toxic, so there's
Mm.
no way that we would be able to clear her out within enough time to do the surgery.
Mm.
Wow.
And so thank God for the surgeon from Indiana,
Mhm.
because he was like, I've never failed at anything.
Mm.
And he was like, in nothing I do goes before me, it goes before the Lord.
Mm.
And he was like, I believe in miracles. She's too young and too healthy to be in this circumstance.
Right.
And even to this day, like the original surgeon that did my surgery, um he emails me. Like I don't know if they're generated, but like he, like every year, on my kidney anniversary, like from
Mm.
my surgery, from my kidney surgery, he emails me and he apologized to my family. Like I don't know if he got in trouble. I don't think he did, because like he refused to do the surgery on me
Mm.
again.
Mm. Then this was the
But
first
you know what?
surgeon.
Maybe
This is
it's
the first surgery, but
best.
he said I
Maybe
trust
it's best
in.
that he did
Well,
because
the thing was,
it's
he said I
somebody who
trust and
believes.
believe in my hands, and it's not in my hands; it's my
Mm.
mind. Because he said my surgery was the first surgery that has failed. He's
Mm.
failed throughout his whole career.
Mm.
Mm.
So I think he was just shocked, like shook up.
Yeah, he took that to heart.
Yeah, and I've seen that happen before, like on television, like where people,
Yeah.
like I
On
don't know if
Grey's
y'all a big
Anatomy.
fan of Grey's Anatomy, but
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, we are.
we're big
um,
fans. Talk about
but
my
yeah, so
bestie
it
Mary
was just
Mary.
so, yeah, it was so crazy. But that experience humbled me.
Mhm.
That experience made me not hold grudges. Like
Mm.
I remember praying to God, like God, if you get me through this, like take anything, out of me, like take anything that I do, that I drink, eat, anything that's unhealthy, like out of my body. Like God, I'm trusting and believing you're giving me a second chance. Like
Mhm.
I'm a mother before anything. Like I was so young at the time. Like it was just like, and it all happened so fast. Like it legitly all happened. Like I legit woke up and I'm in a hospital bed and they're standing over me telling me we're doing emergency surgery on you in the morning. We don't know what we're gonna particularly do surgery on, but we have to cut you open because it's too many toxins in your body if we want to try to save you.
Mm.
Right.
That
And
is
then from
so
that to like, oh, and
scary.
by the way, you may not make it. Oh, and then we got
Yep.
your
And
baby
so
income
my
too. And like,
parents
Jesus.
at that time, I had my mom, I had my biological mother, my dad, and my auntie. Um, and yeah, I mean, like I said, we trapped it out in the hospital for 27 days.
Mm.
And it was like one of them surreal experience. Like I remember coming home and crying because I felt like I needed to get up and go to the bathroom. Like I wanted to get up and realizing that I couldn't do that no more. Like, so
Mm.
that's why I tell people like we take the small things for granted. Like,
Absolutely.
I couldn't even when it brought me back to the birth of my child because after having my baby, I had like a small kidney procedure because once again I had kidney failure then. Um I couldn't hold my daughter when I first had her for like 3 weeks. I didn't pick her up. I couldn't do nothing. So as a new mom, that like hurt my heart. But like even going from being able to do everything for yourself and your child because your child depend on you to not being able to do nothing for like a long time. Like I think, and this is funny now, but it wasn't funny then. I think I wore the pants for like 2 months.
Mm.
Yeah.
And I remember getting sick because I refused to use the bathroom in the depends.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, because in your mind, like you've been
In
you
my mind, I'm like,
that
I'm not,
stage.
y'all not about to
Right,
be wiping me. Y'all not about to
right.
be, doing all of
That's
this stuff.
that.
Like,
Mm.
Right. I'm in my 20s.
Right. I already
but
learned. I already did this part.
yeah, but that's why, like, for me,
Mm.
like, I really try to like not take nothing for granted because you can be here today and gone tomorrow.
And with the quickness.
With the quickness, and
Mm.
a lot of people like, dude, like I never knew you went through that. But what I will say
I
is like
look,
my best friends,
Jesus.
like they were even through my recovery, like my best friends, they took off work. One of my best friends took a
Mhm.
leave of
Oh.
absence from work.
Oh.
Love
One of
that.
my best friends at the time was a parole officer. She every shift, like she there, like so. I had a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful support team. I actually had to go vegan after my surgery. You
Mm.
couldn't eat no type of meat, no nothing, because now your body got to learn how to work all
Mhm.
over again, and all of this stuff. So my auntie actually, she cooked meals for me for like months out. Like she cooked for me for a long time,
Mm.
but I had a wonderful support team to get through those trying times. But
Wow.
it was just a lot. It was a long process. It was a long road. It was nothing that I ever thought that I would go through or experience. I mean, and just the fact to sit there for 2 days straight, replaying in my mind before I even had the surgery, the second time around, like these people telling me I'm gonna die. Basically, bring
Mhm.
your
Yeah.
daughters in, bring her, whoever, any family members, call them, FaceTime them, because she could not wake up tomorrow. She, her body, if the toxins go through, if they were trying to stop it from getting in my bloodstream,
That's so
and
scary.
it had already started forming though. So basically they were like, yeah,
But
it's
it didn't
nothing.
prosper.
Listen.
Yeah, they like basically when it get in your bloodstream, it's really nothing that they can do.
So
Mm.
I'm wondering, like, what were the signs? Like, what was your primary doctor saying? And I'm asking
So
because
it was so
I'm
crazy
going
because
through the
they
same
they
thing.
told me at one point, they told me it was heartburn, then they told me it was my gallbladder, then they told me it was acid reflux, but all the time, all along, it was my kidney shutting down.
That's crazy. Yeah, because I keep
And
telling
it
my
was a
doctor
process,
too,
and I
like,
dealt
over
with
and
that
over.
for like, man, for like 4 years. Like it was so bad, but like I said, it would feel like my body was on fire.
Mm,
And it
mm.
was just like I have a really high pain tolerance, so I would sleep it off. Like
Yep,
I
that's
would
Black
ball up and
women.
go to sleep, and then I would wake up and I would feel fine.
Mm,
And then maybe 2-3 months later,
yep.
bam, it's happening again.
Right.
And
Mm.
I hate the doctors. So I wasn't running to the doctor every time where I should have because they could have caught it earlier on. But the times that I did go, they didn't.
They don't take it seriously. At least that's in my case too. Like I feel like I tell my doctor like, okay, well this is what's happening, and then they act like, oh, like you'll be good, like just go home, and it's just like, but I'm telling you, like something don't feel right or something is not right.
Yeah, and it
So we've
was
talked about that on another episode of how in the medical field, Black women aren't heard. Like we're not heard about our pain and our
yeah, because they
Or they
don't,
say
and I
that
think
you're
too,
exaggerating.
yeah.
Yeah.
they don't really realize and understand our bodies. But like the doctors, like now, so every 6 months, I have to go to a kidney specialist, just to make sure because I only have one now. Um, just to make sure that everything is functioning right, everything is, working at its right pace. And I remember like maybe 4 months ago, I went to the kidney specialist and my numbers were down. And I remember getting like so depressed and so out of it for like a week, because then I had to
Mhm.
go back, like they ran some more tests. And I had to really think about it, like where I came from. Like, girl, listen, you are already a miracle. For one, you blessed and highly favored. Like,
Amen.
don't let this little distraction get to you. But it's hard because I didn't live that. Like when you have
Yeah.
to go through all of that, and you have to feel like, oh, okay, what if my body is rejecting it now? And because they say, your body can turn at any point,
Mm.
but when I went back, they were fine. It could have definitely been like stress levels. It could have been something that I ate when I went. I don't really know. They tell you like all these different factors, but it hits you like, because I've been through this. I've lived this life. I've been on, as I call it, death row, because it's one of them things, like everybody don't have to live that nightmare. I lived that, like I
Mhm.
went through that. My family went through that. And that's why I said, once again, shout out to my mama, because she didn't hesitate about hopping on a plane. She like, they not cutting you, they not doing nothing till somebody get there.
Mm.
Because a lot of people don't know too. Like, I don't have much family here. Like, all of my family lives out of state. When I graduated high school, like my family was like, all right, I'm out. And I came back after college. I came back here because I was with my child father. But it was one of those things where it was just like, man, people take life for granted, and I don't take life for granted. Everybody be like, you always so bubbly, you support everybody, you do this, you do that, you just, it's like you're everywhere. And I'm like, I'd rather be everywhere versus not be here. So,
Period. Yes, and you
um,
definitely do. You so supportive and so positive, like, all the time. So here now I get it, full context.
yeah. So, I mean, and I tell people all the time, like, you have to really be grateful, because, my prayer every morning, I tell my daughter every morning, I said, even if you wake up with an attitude, even if not feeling it today, you wake up and you say thank you, because you want to know
Mm.
why? Somebody didn't wake up today. Somebody daughter didn't wake up today. Somebody mama didn't wake up today. Another human being didn't make it. So you just say thank you, because, and I thank God every day. I just always say thank you for a second chance at life, because half of them doctors counted me out. The one doctor was like, look, I don't know why they lying to you. Then he told my mom, he told my parents, I don't know why they lying to you. It's already hitting her bloodstream.
Mm.
They not finna do nothing extra for her. Like, he basically told us, like, and that's the truth though. When you started going downhill in hospitals, they feel like, oh, okay, they ain't gonna make it out. We don't gotta do all this extra stuff.
Right.
But what I will say is God had his angels around me, because
Amen.
that staff didn't really give up on me. And they were just like, a lot of them was like, you just so young. Like, what happened? Like, and it was just like, literally, I woke up one morning, like I said, I was pregnant at the time. I had to use the bathroom, because prior to that, I had no issues with, like, I never knew I had kidney failure. But they said it stemmed from like 10 years prior to me even knowing.
Mm. That's so see,
Wow.
that is so scary.
Wow.
That is so scary. And it's yeah. It's scary, and it makes me think, because you have to do like blood work and stuff when you get life insurance, and that's kind of what I was recently going
Child, I
through.
didn't. I'm like, who? What kind of
Yeah,
life
I
insurance
did.
is
I had to
this?
do a whole workup, and they kept finding protein in my urine. So I'm like, okay, what's going on? So then I keep telling my doctors, like, okay, I think something is wrong, because this, like, the numbers was way too high. Like, and I had like blood in my urine. It was like all kind of stuff. And I keep telling my doctors, they keep being like, okay, you good. Like, but
No, I
it's
started demanding, like, at one point, like, when I was feeling sick and I'm like, it's not heartburn. So what happened was, prior to me even going, before I even passed out and stuff at the hospital, I went to urgent care at St. Mary's. And
mhm,
St. Mary's admitted me for a day. And the lady was telling me, the nurse there was telling me, like, no, it's either your kidneys or your liver. And that's when, like, stuff started like making sense, like, okay, okay. And then, so when I went in this last time before I had my surgery, like, when I went in, well, I didn't realize that I was going in to have surgery, but when I went in and I passed out, um he was like, it's either her gallbladder, her kidney, or her liver.
mm,
That's all. That's those three things is what shut your body down. Now, what people don't realize, like with your gallbladder, if your gallbladder bursts or anything like that, that's toxic. If that get in your bloodstream,
mhm.
that shuts down your organs.
Mm.
So that's why they were like pinpointing, okay, when I got there. But prior to that, they were telling me everything. I never had heartburn. I never had acid reflux. All of the time, it was my kidneys. But they were treating it for something totally different.
Mm.
Mm.
Girl, I'm about
Yeah.
to call my doctors
Wow.
tomorrow because
So
I'm.
yeah, it was a lot. It was recovery was very hard for me because once again, you're so used to. I'm very independent. I do everything. Like I'm a one woman show. Like I gets the job done. But the fact that I had to depend on people, it made me very angry, bitter. Like I didn't want people doing stuff for me. Like I said, I had to wear the pants at one point, and it was just because that like, what if somebody not in here to walk you
Mhm.
to the bathroom? What if somebody and I'm like, I made myself sick because I'm like, I'm not using the
Oh,
bathroom in no pants. Like you're not wiping my ass. That's not gonna
Right.
happen.
Let's be
Like
gonna draw the line.
no.
so it was just the recovery was a lot itself. But I'm grateful. I'm grateful every day that I'm here. That it's like I just try to cherish life because once again, not everybody don't understand that we can't take life for granted because you never know when your last day is. You never know when something can change in your body. You don't know.
You don't.
I never thought that I would have went through that at that particular time.
Yeah.
Right. That
um
was. Whew.
so
Yeah, you
it was
young and
just it was a
bright.
life-changing
Listen,
experience. But it,
with
it
no
humbled me,
warning
and
too.
it
Like
made
I
me
can see.
realize that I
Yeah.
needed to get myself together too, health wise, just in general.
Yeah.
So then
So
I'm
yeah.
wondering how that impacted some of you started a lot of different businesses. So can you tell us about what they are and how you were inspired, like what inspired you to do
I
those
can't hear you.
businesses?
Oh, hang on. Let's see what's going on.
Can you hear me?
Can you hear us? Nope. So why don't you try to pop off and pop back in? And then I think that'll do it.
But yeah, she has
Woo!
4 different businesses, as she
Yes.
mentioned, and there's one in particular that I'm interested to.
I
Still
can't hear you.
okay. Why don't you click like leave the broadcast and then she did. There we go.
Yeah.
And then think once she comes back it'll be fine. Yeah, she does.
Wow. But yeah, that's a whole lot. It's
Woo!
so crazy because when you're young, you
You
think you're
you
healthy,
think you're invincible, like nothing can happen to
Yeah.
me.
Cuz I guess in my mind, when I was young and 20, right? I'm like, that's old people got gallbladder
Exactly.
and liver
Kidneys,
and
like
kidney
you don't even
issues,
think
right?
about none of that
I
stuff.
don't even care about
Like
them,
I don't
right?
drink, I'm
Right,
good. Like my
exactly,
kidneys
right.
good.
Exactly.
That's as far as
Right.
kidneys I
The only
knew.
thing I ever was worried about at 20 was like weight. Like, let me just
Listen,
lose this last 5 or these last 10 or something like that.
I
But
don't know. I was worried. I was
you
worried
didn't
about
care
none of
at
it.
all.
Listen, I had no cares in the world. But now, me at 35, after, like I said, after doing my life insurance mock up and they just saw some stuff was off, I was like, huh. And I'm so this is gonna be my record. And if God forbid that anything is wrong with me, but I have been telling my primary care doctor, my OB, like anybody who would listen, like I keep telling them, like, I don't think that I think something's wrong. And they keep telling me, like, you good. Like, oh,
Okay, I'm back.
Okay.
yay. Okay.
Yes. So no, what I was saying was you do have 4 amazing businesses that you kind of alluded to,
Yep.
and some of
Yes.
them seem to be correlated to some of your past experiences. So I want you to kind of tell us what those 4 are and what inspired you to do each one.
So my first baby is Coco Athletics. So I have a women's athletic line. I started that last year. And the reasoning behind that was just because, for one, health is wealth. You need to be healthy. And I was on this like health journey, but it was so hard for me to find. Like I'm heavy chested. I'm a triple F at the top. So I was working out in like 3 and 4 bras, and I was just like, you
Mm.
know what, I'm tired of this. I'm gonna do some research. I'm gonna make some bras for heavy chested women, some sports bras, so that we don't have to worry about, slapping ourselves in the face with
Right.
our with our and So yeah, that's kind of how that got started. I started off with sports bras, and then it led to act, athletic wear, where I started doing like workout sets, and then I started doing the waist beads. So yeah, I'm on Instagram at Coco Athletics and on Facebook at Coco Athletics. So that's where that one started from. And my logo is I want you guys to be cute and get fit all at the same time. So I have like really cute, and I service from extra small to 4X.
Nice.
So it started with just me being uncomfortable working out with my bras, and I wanted to find a great sports bra. So I started off with the sports bra, and then I just, expanded as it went on.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one of my babies. I have the Mommy Help, which I am a extreme couponer. So the reason why I call it the Mommy Help, because I am a single mother. But I do have a father. My daughter do have a father who is very much in her life.
There you
But
go. Single hyphen mother.
right. But I get the job done.
There we go.
So I started couponing, and it just kind of went from, oh, I'm gonna coupon for, little stuff just to save extra money, and it went from legitly couponing for my household to stockpile, from stockpile to a whole bedroom, from bedroom to a whole like basement. So yeah, it just kind of expanded. So now I offer like packages, offer different coupon packages to like daycares, hair salons, corporate buildings, like people that has their own cleaning business. They buy a lot of cleaning supplies from me at a discounted rate. So I always do the $50 holler. So that's how I kind of got popular, because I started doing a $50 holler, which is like a household bundle where you get like tissue, paper towel, like your regular necessities, your everyday needs in a household.
Nice.
And so I started doing that, and it just kind of expanded into business. And so from that business, I wrote a book called Cracking the Code on Coupons. So I
Mm,
wrote an ebook, and you can buy that ebook online. And it just basically give you the tools to learn and to become a beginner couponer, and to go to different sites. I put all of my websites that I use, all of the different resources that I use. So that is called the Mommy Help, on Instagram. And also, my book is sold on all of my pages. My ebook is called Cracking the Code to Coupon. So if you're out there and you want to be a couponer, hit me up. I
there
do
we go.
individual classes. I just recently did like a huge class through the state of Wisconsin. And now I'm going to also be offering a financial literacy couponing class kind of thing. I don't really know what they're going to call it, but it's going to be NPS. So kudos to that, because I'm
Oh,
super
that is
Nice.
excited
so
about that.
cool.
Congratulations. That's what's up.
Yeah, so I'm super excited about that. And then outside of my extreme couponing and having my ebook, I also am a care coordinator. So I have prenatal care. I do a prenatal care coordinator. And then I have my really gentle baby who I'm just super excited. I've been working on her for a long time. But I have my transitional home opening up, hopefully, fingers crossed, June. And with the transitional home, it is going to help adolescent women from the ages of 17 to 30.
Mm,
So they could be coming out of like maybe St. Charles, any kind of treatment center. They can be coming out of jail, wherever they're coming from. Basically, they're going to be able to live in my transitional home for 4 months. And in those 4 months, every month they have to complete a course. Once those courses are completed, we help them with housing, to find their own housing. And the courses consist of financial literacy, learning how to run a household, basically budgeting bills, managing bills, grocery shopping.
mm,
If they're a mother, teaching them how to, maintain, kid balance, kids needs, helping pretty much with their day-to-day lively needs. So every month they'll complete a course. Once all four of those courses are completed, they will be able to go out in the real world. And my
mm.
goal is to be able to keep the house full and just help these young ladies be able to transition into the world so they don't have to struggle. Like, we get a lot of kids that come out of foster care because they're 18, they're out of the system. There you go. Have a good
Mhm.
life. well, that's not feasible because sometimes they're not taught everything that they need. So this program is to basically help them so that they don't have to be a statistic or fail, and let them know if they did fail, if it was a something that happened and you didn't make it in the past, this is why we are here, because we want to set you up to brighten your future so that you can be able to see that you can do this. It just take time and dedication, but this is what you can do. This is all you have to do, and it's not hard. So yeah, I'm super excited. It's called From My Heart to Yours.
Oh, I
And
love the
I'm
name.
super excited
Yes.
about this process because this is something that's really like I'm really near and dear to me. Like my passion is to help people. I love to help people. I love to see people smile, to see people, do what they love to do. But sometimes they just don't have the resources.
Yeah.
My goal is to be able to give them whatever resources they need. That's what I kind of do with my prenatal care agency. We resource and help pregnant women and women that have babies from the ages of newborns to 6 years old. I basically give them any type of resource you can think of, whether it's housing resources, food, coats, clothes, doctor's appointments, helping with child support, wherever they need help. That's what I do.
Mm.
So yeah, those are my babies. I am super excited about all of them. And I displayed them all on my Instagram page. If you want to follow my regular Instagram page at Shacola, they're all underneath that page too. So you will always be able to find any type of that information as well. So yeah, those are my babies. I'm super excited about my transitional home. I'm just super excited. Like I'm ready to be able to help these young ladies. Like I want them to know like how to dress for success, how we not walking out the house and buying us to take our kids to school. Your first impression is your best impression. Like I just want them to know, just because you were raised up in a household with two adults or one adult or an auntie or uncle, grandma, cousin, that don't mean they really taught you. Sometimes they're just housing you. Sometimes you just got a space to lay your head and sometimes food to eat, sometimes not. So they don't, just because I try to tell people all the time, like I was grateful enough to come up in a household where I was taught things. My grandmother always taught me, if you can't buy it twice, don't buy it once. Now,
Mm.
if you can buy it twice, then you go ahead and buy it. But if you can't buy it twice, don't buy it once. Because that means you gonna have a purse that you bought, but you ain't gonna have nothing in that purse because you shouldn't have bought it in the first
Hello.
place.
Mhm.
So my goal is to teach these girls and young
That's
ladies
good. You're doing
that,
good stuff.
the resources are here. You
Yeah.
know, this is what you have to do. I'm setting you up so that you don't have to worry about failing. The things that you didn't know, you know now. I didn't
Mhm.
realize there was a lot of young ladies that didn't even know about sanitary and menstrual cycles. So like I teach a lot of them about that. Like it's just a lot that I want to put into this house or pour into this house so that the people, the young ladies, they have something to look forward to. And my goal is to do like like I said, out. They only can stay there 4 months, and that's just because it's statewide. Like that's just how they have it set up. Or like transitional homes is 4 months. But every month, I want them to be able to complete a course so that when they do go out and find that house, whatever house we help them, they know how to pay their bills. They
Mhm.
know how to budget their money. They know how to be on a strategic budget. They know, this month I have $500. I gotta spend 300 on rent. I got 50 for growth. So they know these things. Like this one girl told me she didn't know how to wash clothes. She put all her clothes, and I said, "Why didn't you separate them? Why do we need to separate clothes?" So those are some of the things that we're going to be teaching them: how to wash clothes, how
Yeah.
to properly clean a house.
Mhm.
All of these type
I
of
remember y'all
things.
had to teach me in college. I was like, "Well, I don't wash clothes, so I don't know how to do
Said,
this."
I'm just gonna put all
I
of
put
these.
all of
It's
them in
like,
there.
hold up. That's white. That's dark. These is
That
colored.
is fun.
Yeah, so I'm super excited, super excited. So
That's
um
wonderful.
I'll be putting more out once I get some other things set in stone. But yeah, that is like my big project that I'm working on.
Yeah.
And I'm super excited about it. Like I'm
We
Yes.
so
can see the
excited.
excitement. Definitely keep
Yes.
us abreast of that grand opening.
Yes,
If you're
I'm
available.
going for June. I'm really going for June. I'm trying to see when my siblings can come in because I want to do like a ribbon cutting,
Yeah,
Yes.
and
Do.
things
yes.
like
Put
that.
the
So
big scissors and everything.
yeah,
Yeah.
I'm excited because I put a lot of hard work and dedication into this, honey. Listen,
I
my
love
mama
it.
been on me like she's like, "Did you do this? Did you do that?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And it's just like it's just a lot of work because I'm doing a duplex. So I have a whole duplex that I'm remodeling,
Wow.
like turn it into business. Like the upstairs is going to be like the upstairs of the duplex is going to be like a model house. This is where they're going to be doing all the
Oh,
trainings and
cool.
everything like that. And then the downstairs is going to be like their home, their safe haven. So
Nice.
That's awesome.
I
I'm
love it.
excited.
That is
Yes.
awesome. Okay, so we have to ask, and you kind of alluded to this, but what would you call your purpose?
My purpose is, I believe I'm a helper. Like I was put on
Mm-hmm.
this earth to help others succeed.
Mm.
Like I know everybody, like I'm that background person. I don't need to be the limelight got to be shined on me. Like I'm that background. Let me push you to do you, because I'm going to do me.
Mm-hmm.
But my purpose is to really push and encourage. I'm an encourager. I'm a helper.
Yep.
I don't want to say a helpmate, but like that's who I am, and I'm okay with that. Some people are not okay with that. I'm okay with that. I know my purpose and my passion. I know where God put me and why He put me there.
Mhm.
I can stand 10 toes down, and I can get knocked down and get back up. Everybody can't. So I'm that helpmate to make sure that they, sustain. And I'm okay with that. And that's my purpose. And I love it. It do something to me when I see that smile of me helping somebody complete something that they wanted to do to help them fulfill their dreams.
Mm.
I love it.
Ooh, that's a whole word right there. That's what's
I
Yeah.
up.
love it.
And you can totally see it. Like you see that in you.
Yes,
Yes. I
absolutely.
That's
love
me.
it.
That's me.
That
Is
is
you.
you. That
That
is absolutely
is.
you.
That's the miracle. But you know
Listen.
what I love about it is that you're a miracle, but you're also a miracle to other people. So your
Mm-hmm.
story, your testimony, that's a miracle in itself. Even your mom, right? Starting from your
Yes.
mom and then going into like your health issues. But now you get to be a miracle for so many other
To
people
other
through each of
people.
these different businesses,
Yes.
specifically that transitional
Oh
house.
yes,
Like
that's gonna be
I'm
that.
super
amazing.
excited.
That is so amazing.
That
Yeah,
is gonna
let
be
it
dope.
look.
Please let us
Let us
know.
know about that
Yes,
opening.
so we
I
can get it
will.
on our
Trust me, you're
calendar.
gonna
Let us
see it.
know.
I want to
I'm
see
be
the
sliding your
presentation.
DMs like, can you share this for me? Can you post this for
Please,
me?
Yes,
please
yes,
do.
yes, yes,
Please
yes.
do.
Absolutely. That is so dope.
Yes. Mm.
That's look, we're gonna be healing and helping other women
Listen.
transition into real life. I love that.
Listen,
I
I
love
love
it.
the coursework that they have to do. That's gonna be transformational. Yeah, it
Yes.
absolutely is. That's what's
Yes.
up.
That's
Mm,
awesome. Well, it is time for us to wrap up. So
it
we're going to
is.
do our to go box.
Yep, yep.
So, Bestie, I'm going to start with you. What are you taking away?
Wow, this episode was amazing. I mean, I knew it was gonna be just from her story when we did the vision board party, but I wasn't expecting all of this information. But it was really, really great. So I think what I'm taking away is to just advocate for yourself. Maybe because that's hitting close to my heartstrings, but advocating for yourself, you know when something isn't right. And just to not take things for granted, like I was telling y'all earlier, like just getting here, like how all the lights was green, like I'm very in tune with that. Like when I notice little stuff like that, like I'm always quick to be like, thank you God, like you did that, thank you, because you didn't have to. um
Right.
so just really being grateful and intentional and being an advocate for yourself is what I'm taking
I
away.
love it. Shakola, what are you taking away? What goes in your to go box today?
I'm taking away, just do what your heart desires. Like, and just remember that every day is a second chance.
Mm,
So live it like it's no tomorrow, and live your dreams out. If one door closed, another door gonna open. Just keep pushing, keep pushing, keep pushing, and follow your heart.
mm.
I love it.
That's what's up. All right, and what you taking away? What's in your to go box?
I'm going to take away to be a miracle to somebody else.
Mm,
Because you talked
Yes.
about how you were a miracle to your mom too. Like you helped her get through her addiction, like you saw her through the whole phase. You took the time to study and learn about her. And I think that in this world, we can be so unkind sometimes. You talked about how
Yeah.
your friends really stepped in when you were in the hospital for a month basically, and then through the recovery process, and what a long road that was, and how amazing is it that your family, your friends, your people just surrounded you with love and
mm,
care and
Yeah.
patience and kindness, in a time when people could be so mean and hurtful and things like that, but you had already suffered so much. So I'm sure it would have been devastating if your friends would have showed anything other than love and kindness. So
mhm.
I think
Yeah.
my takeaway is just to be a miracle to somebody else. People are
Indeed.
hurting out here in this world.
For
So
sure.
if you
You don't
pass
know what
second
somebody else is
base,
going through.
you don't
Yeah,
know. And when
absolutely.
you do know,
Yeah.
that's what makes it even worse. But you know what?
Right.
Really, you don't have to know.
Yeah,
You do not have to know that somebody is suffering to be kind to them.
absolutely.
Just
Just
look,
do it.
like we all learned in elementary school. If you don't have anything nice to say,
Don't say it at
Don't
all.
say it at
don't
all.
say it at all.
Don't say it all.
So that's what I'm taking away, is to be a miracle to somebody else.
Indeed.
Thanks for tuning in to Brunch with Besties podcast. Until next time, peace.
Peace.
All right.
All right, we is done. That was really great.
Yeah,
Oh,
that
let me get off
was
here.